Okay. Good evening, everyone. The time is now 6:07, and I will call to order this hybrid public meeting. It is December 4th, 2024. My name is Julie Bond, and I am the chair of the Historic Preservation Commission. Regular meetings and public hearings of the Clark County Historic Preservation Commission are held in a hybrid format with both in-person and virtual participation options for commissioners, staff, and the public. This will allow for safe participation by commission members, staff, and any citizen interested in attending. For those of you joining remotely via computer, you should be able to see tonight's meeting agenda on your screen. If you can't see the screen and have joined by phone only, I will be announcing the agenda items as we move through the meeting's topics. Members of the public and applicants that have joined remotely are attendees. Other event participants cannot hear your audio unless you are acknowledged by the commission chair or staff and are unmuted. This evening's agenda is planned as follows: roll call and introductions, agenda approval, prior meeting notes, public comment for subjects other than public hearings on this meeting's agenda, as there will be specific public comment periods as part of the hearing, updates from partner organizations, continuance of the Stanger House Certificate of Appropriateness, public hearing for the Clark County Heritage Register nomination of the Bakery Building, Heritage District Overlay Advisory Review for the Academy Building, an executive session that is estimated for 30 minutes, historical promotion grants recommendation, old business, commission announcements and events, subcommittee updates, and good of the order and adjournment. We will now have a roll call of HPC members who are present for this meeting. Commission members, please say I'm here after I call your name. Jen Bader.
Here.
Morgan Fraser.
Here.
Andy Gregg.
Here.
Heidi Mandler Huff.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Elaine Thatcher.
Here.
Johnson Gelly, I believe, is on his way, and I am here, Julie Bond.
And Julie, John is online here. I'm just moving.
Okay. Oh, sorry. So John Zingali? Zingali?
1 second.
I am here.
Thanks, John. Next, we have two proposed changes for tonight's agenda. Bart will give a brief summary of proposed agenda changes.
Yeah, good evening, members of the public and HPC members. So we are requesting one minor and one addition. So the minor change is to move our discussion of the next meeting time in January up to the beginning so that we get that taken care of and there's no confusion for the rest of the meeting. And the other request is to add an item that is not on the paper copy that you have. We continued the Stanger House hearing last meeting, and that was not put on the physical agenda. The Stanger House application is still needing some additional information, so we will do the same thing we did last time if everyone is amenable to it, and open the hearing, reopen the hearing, continue it till January. So what we need at this point is agreement from the voting members right now that those agenda changes are okay. And
Thanks, Bart. Is there any discussion on the proposed agenda changes? This is only a discussion. Any problems with the proposed changes? Okay. With that, I would like to take a motion to amend the agenda to move the discussion of the January meeting date change to the top of tonight's new business agenda, followed immediately by a request to continue the Stanger House Certificate of Appropriateness hearing until the January meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We all will, apparently. Okay, thank you. Appreciate the support. Excellent, thank you. So the next item is the meeting notes approval. Staff is currently working on additional revisions to the draft of the November 6th meeting minutes, and we will have them available for review at our next regular meeting. We will now take public comment on any items outside the public hearing items. We will begin with attendees in the room. please approach the microphone if you would like to make a public comment. Okay. I don't see any in the room. We'll now take public comment from online attendees. Susan, Bart, can you please read the instructions?
Yes. If you are using a computer or WebEx application on a tablet or smartphone, if you would like to make a comment, please raise your virtual hand. There are instructions on how to do so on this screen. Typically the hand icon is located towards the bottom of your screen, but you may need to click on the icon that looks like a circle with 3 dots in order to see the raise hand option. For anyone on the telephone audio only option, please dial *3 on your phone's number panel to raise your hand. Staff will be able to see hands once they are raised and will request to unmute you one at a time. Please note that public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person in order to accommodate all speakers.
Thank you. Is there anyone online who would like to make a public comment?
There is no one additional online at this time.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll move to partner updates, and we will now hear from our partner organizations. We will begin with the regular update from the Historic Trust. You may approach the mic.
Good evening, commissioners, staff, and guests. My name is Holly Chamberlain. I'm with the Trust, and I have some updates from Providence Academy and the Historic Reserve. Applications for the Academy's new Small Business Incubator Program will open in January. New and established small businesses are welcome to apply for 18 months of rental assistance and mentoring. The Trust is grateful to program sponsors who are underwriting the rental costs and to the volunteers providing business advice. A National Trust for Historic Preservation grant-funded project to propose interpretive concepts for the infirmary where Mother Joseph spent her final days and for the new elevator lobby has been completed by the consultants. This December is the 168th anniversary of the arrival of the first 5 Sisters of Providence and the start of the region's first Euro-American education, humanitarian, and medical networks. In memoriam, the Trust is providing treats for Academy visitors along with the regular slate of tours. Event venue staff are very busy right now with 27 events in the first 2 weeks of December. The preservation crew has welcomed new staff member Chris Carson. In addition to regular preservation and maintenance tasks, the crew has inventoried and reorganized their tools, and they've been very busy with seasonal maintenance with heating systems. A problem with water pooling in the front yard at 611 McClellan has been addressed by the installation of French drains. An NPS archaeologist monitored the digging. A Comcast upgrade at the Howard House also required archaeological monitoring. The Trust submitted substantial comments on the IBR DSEIS for both the Historic Reserve and the Academy, and edits for the Academy's FOE and DOE documents. Evergreen garlands and lights are up along Officers Row and at the Academy, and we are looking forward to Santa's arrival at the Marshall House this coming Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Reservations are full, but people are welcome to take a chance on the walk-in space being available. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Holly. Next, we would like to hear from Brad Richardson from the Clark County Historical Museum, who will discuss sponsorship of the 2025 CCHM Speakers Series.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. First, I just want to thank you for your support for our speaker series this year. We had an amazing season. In February, we had Donna Sinclair come out and talk about a book she wrote with Gloria Brown, who was the first African-American woman forest supervisor at the U.S. Forestry Service. We brought a great number of Humanities Washington speakers to Clark County this year and partnered with Plain Forward and actually held a number of those talks in the International District. And we just had an amazing season and we're really grateful for all of your support. We couldn't have done it without you. In 2025, we already have our season outlined, and obviously you can probably see that in the little flyer that we've provided. So we're really excited to bring some more Humanities Washington speakers, which will continue at Fourth Plane Forward in that partnership. We'll be talking about the 200th anniversary of Fort Vancouver. We'll also be discussing Martha's Pantry, a story of giving and support in that local organization, and much, much more. And so if you have any questions, please let us know. And yeah, we're just so grateful for your support of the work that we're doing. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I think, oh, sorry, never mind. Yes, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you for that update. I would like to accept a motion to approve the 2025 CCHM Speaker Series for their $2,000 sponsorship. Do I have is there a motion?
So moved from Andy.
Thank you, Andy. Do I have a second?
John, I'll second.
Thank you, John. All those in favor, I will take a motion. I'm sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
I need to recuse myself because I'm on the museum board.
Thank you, Jan, for that. The motion does pass. This concludes the partner updates portion of this meeting. We will now move to the next item on our agenda related to the January meeting time change. So the meeting is currently on the first Wednesday of the month, which is January 1st. And we are proposing that we still hold this meeting in January, but we move it to the second Wednesday of the month, which is January 7th. Would anybody like to discuss that?
That's January 8th.
I'm sorry, January 8th. I don't know what I said, but January 8th. Yes.
I don't know, that's my birthday. I feel about
Let them
that.
eat cake.
So what are any thoughts or any opposition to changing the date from the 1st to the 8th? Looking at my people on camera.
Well, Morgan, if it is your birthday, if we bring cake, can we do it?
Yeah, but I'll still be in Missouri.
Oh, okay.
I'll
Sorry
still be
about
in
that.
Missouri.
All right. Is there a motion to hold the next regular HPC meeting on Wednesday, January 8th at 6 p.m.?
I'll put forth the motion for the change of date.
I'll second it from Andy.
Thank you. And we will have a voice vote. All those in favor of making that change, say aye.
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 And any opposed? Say no. And the motion passes. Thank you. Next on the amended agenda is the continuance of public hearing for a certificate of appropriateness for the Stinger House exterior improvements. Bear with me. So we will continue an open public hearing for a certificate of appropriateness for the Stinger House. But before we continue this public hearing, I want to provide a notice of continuance under RCW 42.30.100 to inform the public that this hearing will be open at this meeting and continue at the next regular meeting of the HPC on January 8th at 6 p.m. This is to allow the commissioners adequate time to review additional information that has been provided from the applicant. Additional information will be provided to the commissioners on this application and will be added to the record for the continued hearing on January 8th and will be available for the public to review on the HPC meetings website. Also, I ask all the commissioners not to make any statements or ask any substantive questions about the application at this time, because that discussion will occur at the next meeting when all commissioners are fully informed. However, the commission will open the hearing to allow any members of the public who are here in person or online to make their comments part of the record in case they are not available to attend the January 8th hearing. The record will remain open, and the commission will permit members of the public to testify on this matter at the January 8th continued public hearing. With that, I will now reopen this hybrid online public hearing for a certificate of appropriateness application for proposed. The steps involved in the hearing process are shown on the slide. Do any commission members have any ex parte contacts or conflicts of interest? Seeing none. Okay. City staff can now offer any comments they have. Don't Thank you. And then does the commission have any questions of staff at this time? Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not understanding why we're going through all this.
Should be right here.
Yeah, it just seems odd. Okay.
Yeah, we'd have to allow them to speak.
Okay. We'll now reopen the public comment period related specifically to the certificate of appropriateness application. Please note that if you wish to retain the ability to be a party of record on this matter or to challenge or defend any decision made on this matter, please state and spell your name and provide your mailing address or email address for the record. Staff will now provide instructions on how to make a public comment for those joining us through their computer or mobile device and for those joining by telephone. And Bart will provide those instructions on how to unmute those who would like to make a comment.
If you are using a computer or WebEx application or mobile device, if you would like to make a comment, please raise your virtual hand. There are instructions on how to do this on the screen. For anyone on the telephone audio only option, please dial *3 on your phone's number panel to raise your hand. Please note that a public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person in order to accommodate all speakers. And Chair, I am not seeing anyone online with hands raised.
All right, thank you very much. I will now accept a motion to continue this hearing until January 8th meeting. Please say your name when making a motion and second so staff can capture it for the record.
This is the Vice Chair Thatcher. I make a motion to continue this until the next meeting.
And is there a second?
This is Commissioner Frazier, and I will second that motion.
Thank you. Bart, would you please take a roll call vote to approve the motion?
Jan Bader,
Aye.
Julie Bond,
Aye.
Morgan Frazier,
Aye.
Heidi Mandler Huff,
Aye.
Elaine Thatcher,
Aye.
John Zingale,
Aye.
Andy Gregg.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously 7-0.
Thank you. All right, thank you, everybody. Next, we will open the public hearing for Clark County Heritage Register nomination for the Bakery Building. Okay. This hearing is for the Clark County Heritage Register nomination for the Bakery Building for the proposed exterior, sorry, this is very, pardon me, hold on one moment.
Leave some of the old text.
Okay. Yeah, we need to open the hearing, but this is all about the Stinger Building.
Oh.
Okay, so can I just open the hearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not the same type as the other one anyway.
Okay.
So we just need to get to the stuff.
Okay, so we will open the public hearing for the Clark County Heritage Register nomination for the Bakery Building. We will turn it over to staff to offer any comments that they have.
Great, thank you, Chair Bond. Mark Person, Senior Planner, City of Vancouver. Staff received a application from the owner of the bakery building located at 506 Washington Street for nomination to be included in the Clark County Heritage Register. Per our Vancouver Municipal Code, Chapter 17.39, Clark County Historic Preservation Commission has the responsibility for reviewing matters of historic preservation within the City of Vancouver. I've copied the statement of significance and the narrative description in my staff report here tonight. And I did want to make a clarification, Chair. We were discussing this staff report prior to the meeting, and I think the discrepancy could be that the form lists the narrative description first, followed by the statement of significance. And for some reason, my staff report and past staff reports list the statement of significance first, followed by the narrative description. So that could be where some of the confusion on the differences are seen. So I'm going to make a note to follow the nomination form in the future with my staff report. That said, per our Vancouver Municipal Code, any building, structure, site, object, or district may be designated for inclusion in the Clark County Heritage Register if it is at least 50 years old. Appears this building was constructed in the late 1800s, has integrity of location, design, setting, materials, workmanship, feeling, and association, is significantly associated with the history, architecture, archaeology, engineering, or cultural heritage of the community, and meets one of the criteria listed in 1739-070, and there are 10, I believe there are 10 of those. The nomination lists the following two criteria as applicable: that the building is associated with events that have made a significant contribution to the broad patterns of national, state, or local history, and that is it is associated with the lives of persons significant to national, state, or local history. Staff is recommending that the commission approve and place the bakery building on the local register. And that is all I have for the staff report.
Okay. And I apologize. I actually should have asked, do any commission members have any ex parte contacts or conflicts of interest in relation to this? Okay, this application? No. Okay, thank you. I'm looking at this.
And Chair Bone, I'm sorry to interrupt. When I was revising the agenda, I forgot to add the line back in for the applicant's representative. So I think we do have Katie online.
Great. Before we get to the applicant, I will ask if the commissioners have any questions for staff. Okay, thank you,
Tell
Morgan.
me again. So I'm sorry, Mark, what criteria are we listing this under?
Of the 9, Commissioner Bader, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
The 2 identified in the nomination are that it is associated with events that have made a significant contribution to the broad patterns of national, state, or local history. And if I recall, this commercial building has had many lives over the years. And it is associated with and number 2, it is associated with the lives of persons significant in national, state, or local history. And I believe the nomination lists a number of prominent Vancouverites from the past.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions before we move to the applicant? Okay. And now our applicant can offer any comments that they have.
Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Bush. I'm the Engagement and Interpretation Manager at the Clark County Historical Museum. And I want to thank everyone here for having me tonight and for the opportunity to speak. I will keep my remarks brief. I just want to give kind of a brief overview of the bakery building at 506 Washington. It's an example of early 20th century commercial style structures, which there are some of in downtown Vancouver that still remain. And it was built as part of a row of commercial buildings around the same time in the area. If you could scroll down to the next slide. So this is actually the prior building that was on the property. It's just a cool old picture of the property that actually housed 2 prominent blacksmiths within the city, William Woolen Weber and Frank Sewell. And if you can scroll down to the next, please. And so by the 1910s, the Royal Baking Company had taken over the site and really made the building into what it is today that we're familiar with Brislone and Guitar. It was owned by Henry and Lena Huesner. The company added ovens, more space, and actually a sweet shop to the property. And they shipped goods throughout the Southwest Washington region until the company unfortunately went bankrupt in the late 1920s. There's no, I think there's a picture of the building in that next slide. If you can scroll down. Yeah, so you can actually see it next to the Brislone and Guitar, which is kind of cool. And then if you scroll down one more, another really interesting story that exists in the structure. There were two neon sign companies that existed that worked in this 506 Washington. So Vancouver Sign Company that was started by William Cole, and Garrett Sign Company. It was actually Garrett and Weber Sign. Both companies still exist in Vancouver. So Vancouver Sign Company has been around for over 100 years now, and Garrett Sign, that as it's called today, is 70 years old. So there's a really long and interesting history of neon signs in Vancouver, which is really, really cool. And it kind of links to this building at 506 Washington. So that's pretty cool. So that's when it moved into the location at 506 Washington, that article there. And I think at that next slide, if you could scroll down, that's just an ad for when Garrett and Weber signs were at 506 Washington in 1950s. If you can scroll to the next one, please. One of the longest running businesses was Kuchera and Sons Leather Company. It was owned by Max Theobald. The company was actually started in 1900 in Tacoma, Washington. And then Max Theobald was one of the early employees at this company and was willed the whole business and moved it down to Vancouver because that was where the big base of customers were, down here in Clark County. So he moved the business down to Vancouver and in the 1970s and ran it out of 506 Washington until the 90s. And if you could scroll down one more, that's when Matt Brislone opened up Brislone and Guitar around the time that Vancouver's downtown rebounded. It was modeled after music shops that Brislone frequented and worked in the Seattle-Tacoma area when he was attending college in the 1990s. He wanted to open a rock and roll oriented shop to provide music equipment to the Clark County community, which he saw as an underserved market. He's also a prolific musician and has had bands, over the decades. He bought his first bass amp and Moog synthesizer at Cameo Loans that used to be in the area too at the age of 17. And so it continues to operate in the bakery building. So a very cool history out of the little brick building on Washington. So that's everything I have. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you, Katie. So I will start with commissioners on the phone to see if any of you have questions. I'll just go down the list if that's okay, or you can shake your head yes or no if you have any questions or comments for Katie. Okay, thank you, Jan. Thank you, Morgan. I don't see any. Okay, thank you, Heidi. And thank you, John. Okay. Are there any questions or comments from commissioners in the room for Katie?
Just a comment for me. This is a fantastic building, and I was excited to see parts of Vancouver's history that I didn't know about come in this application. The bakery was a fun touch to hear about. So thank you, Katie.
Yeah, and I will actually say the same thing. It was a very, very thorough application. You guys did amazing, extensive research for this nomination application, and it was a very interesting read. So thank you so much for all of the work and the research and the things that you found. I can only imagine how much it took to uncover all of that detail. So thank you for that. And I will ask, I didn't see in the application, but I see you have it. This picture here, I really like this picture, but I didn't see in the application. But if you could add some of these PowerPoint elements that you have would be really great if maybe they didn't come through in the application, or I'm not sure, but the narrative was there. But I would be interested in having record of these pictures to go with the nomination for future, because we're always looking for photographs and that's always helpful. So, but anyway, I will just say thank you for this excellent nomination.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do it. And want to thank LSW as well for their help with the architectural description. With the photos, would that be a request to have an addendum and have those added onto the nomination, or just in the future for future nominations to be sure to add these visual elements?
Both. So if you can add these to this particular application, because I think it's really great to see that old picture with the buggy, you know, the little car buggies in front, and then the current picture and how those architectural elements have been maintained throughout that time. So that would be definitely a good record to have in the nomination. And then moving forward, yes, we always love photographs with nominations.
Gotcha. Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. All right, we will now open the public comment period related specifically to the County Heritage Register nomination application. Please note that if you wish to retain the ability to be party of record on this matter or to challenge or defend any decision made on this matter, please state and spell your name and provide your mailing address or email address for the record. Staff will now provide instructions on how to make a public comment for those joining us through their computer or mobile device and for those joining by telephone. Bart will provide instructions.
Yes, if you are using, 1 second here, I have too many windows open. If you're using a computer or WebEx application on a mobile device, if you would like to make a comment, please raise your virtual hand. There are instructions on how to do this on your screen. For anyone on the telephone, audio only option, please dial *3 on your phone's number panel to raise your hand. Please note, public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person in order to accommodate all speakers. And just double checking. There do not appear to be any additional online participants with hands raised. And I don't see anyone in the room wishing to speak as well.
Okay, thank you. I believe that now closes the public comment period. And now we may open a discussion regarding this nomination with the commission. Any comments from commissioners about this nomination? We can begin discussion.
I think it was great to get another nomination. I think that Katie did a fabulous job, and I'm excited. Little mighty commercial building.
Yep, I'm always excited to see these added on, and so this looks like a good one.
Yeah, it was interesting if in the very first slide of her PowerPoint, that really looks like that one down, one more, yep, that one. Those, look at the windows of that one, and then the building that's adjacent to the, I don't think she has a photo in it, but it might be at the end. But if you look at the, what's that building now? Melt? Or what is it? I don't know. It's like the melty glass place. But it has the same nice work along the windows.
Okay, well, if that concludes the discussion from the commission, I will now accept a motion. Please say your name when making a motion and second, so staff can capture it for the record.
Morgan Fraser, I will make a motion to accept this nomination for the bakery building onto the Clark County Historic Register.
Heidi Mandler, I'll second this.
Oh, with the caveat that some historic photos get added.
Yes.
Great, thank you, Morgan. Motion moves to approve this motion, and Heidi Mandler Huff seconds the motion. Bart, can you please take a roll call vote to approve it?
Absolutely. Jan Bader,
Aye.
Julie Bond,
Aye.
Morgan Fraser,
Aye.
Heidi Mandler Huff,
Aye.
Elaine Thatcher,
Aye.
John Zingali,
Aye.
Andy Gregg.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously,
Yep, seven yeses.
7-0.
The motion passes. Thank you, everyone. We will now move to the next item on our list of our agenda. This is an advisory review for the Heritage Overlay District 1 regarding a new elevator installation for the Academy Building at 400 East Evergreen Boulevard, Vancouver. Anthony Torici?
Federici, perfect.
Okay, thank you. From the City of Vancouver is here to present and advisory review request for installation of a new elevator at the Providence Academy. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yes, my name is Anthony Tortorici. I'm a senior planner with the City of Vancouver. We received an application for the addition of an elevator and repairs to existing deck at the Providence Academy. The Academy is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and within the Heritage Overlay District number 1. The proposal is subject to design review and heritage review, and per Vancouver Municipal Code 2510030B, any exterior alterations to a historic building visible from a public street require advisory review from yourselves, the Clark County Historic Preservation Commission. The project is currently under review. Staff has not made a decision, and it's anticipated the week of the 16th of this month. We do have the applicant with us who can present and share details on the proposal, and I can answer any process-related questions.
All right, you said there is a representative from the applicant?
Correct, we have Ryan Wilson here.
Okay, and they can come forward if they wish to speak.
Good evening. I'm Temple Lentz. I'm president and CEO of the Historic Trust. Thanks for having us here tonight and for taking a look at this project. We are really happy to be bringing this project to you at an early stage so we can get your input here early on in design. And we're really excited about this project itself. Not only does it complete the final section of galleried porches on the north side of the Academy, it also brings a much needed ADA elevator to the building. And it's a little bit of an odd project for you because it is an indoor-outdoor project. And as you know, your responsibility is only to advise on the stuff that affects the outdoor. But we do want to tell you more about the entire context of the project and not just focus on the outdoors. So we're kind of giving you a little bit more than we have to. But we really think that this project has importance and relevance for downtown Vancouver, as well as for the building itself. By increasing accessibility for the Academy, we're also enhancing economic growth and tourism for downtown itself. For the downtown core, we're giving our tenants and our event renters more access and flexibility. We're also making the chapel more accessible for more tourists and visitors. And we're excited by the public education opportunities that will develop by creating an elevator lobby in the building as well. So this project also, of the options that we looked at for where to put an ADA accessible elevator, this particular project also has the least impact on the historic fabric of the building. So that was very important to us as well. And the new elements for putting in this elevator also can be seen by a very limited number of viewpoints. So we like that. We do have our architect here and he can go through his presentation and tell you more about it. And then Holly and I are also here for questions related to the building. So thank you again. And Ryan can come up and talk more. Thanks.
Bart, is there some reason that the presenter screen is blank?
Let me refresh. It could be the internet. Hold on. Can you see it now?
I mean, I can see the presentation, but the screen that's got the person that's talking is blank.
Oh, that's the clerk's computer here. There's no operative right now
Okay.
on that computer. So I could look to turn on a camera in the room, but
It's fine. I just didn't know if it was my computer or.
no,
Okay,
there's no
it's fine.
camera on this computer. Good question.
You're not missing anything, so.
You can now see him, actually.
My name is Ryan Wilson. As mentioned, I am the project architect for this project. This project builds on previous exterior rehabilitation efforts that began in 2017, which included re-roofing the academy, repairing the south porches, most of the north and east porches, installing an accessible ramp on the north side, and repairing the east entry. I can get it. The goals for this project include repairing the north central gallery porches, the 2 levels of porches in the center of this photo, adding a new elevator, and replacing the courtyard roof. The repairs to the central gallery porches were originally intended to be part of a 2020 North Porch repair project, but were excluded due to the complexity of the works, which led to the costs exceeding the budget. Yeah. Slide. The Providence Academy currently has a wheelchair lift near the north central entrance, installed in 1927. It has served as the sole accessible route to the upper floors. However, the lift is not user-friendly and requires frequent maintenance, which is becoming increasingly difficult and costly. Additionally, the small size of the existing shaft is unsuitable for a proper elevator, prompting us to seek alternative locations for a new one. Slide. In our search for a new elevator location, we evaluated several potential sites both inside and around the building. The image shown depicts the basement level of the academy, which is densely occupied by tenant spaces, service areas, and utility zones. The ceilings are crowded with sprinkler lines, plumbing pipes, and electrical conduit. Upper floors are filled with existing tenants and historic detailing. While exterior locations could avoid these internal conflicts, they would be visible from public streets. The chosen location aims to minimize both internal disruptions and the impact on the building's exterior appearance. Excellent. Placing the elevator adjacent to the north central courtyard proved to be the best location after considering all factors. This option reduces the structural impact on the building by installing the elevator in a location that only affects the single-story courtyard framing. The proposed elevator shaft will be structurally self-supporting and not impose any additional gravity or seismic loading onto the seismically vulnerable academy building. The new elevator shaft will be positioned so that it abuts up against the courtyard balconies and utilizes the balconies as access to the building. The result is an efficient construction method which will keep project costs down, have the least disruption to the existing building, and keeps exterior view impacts to a minimum. The courtyard area is conveniently located near the primary north entrance of the building, where a wheelchair ramp was recently installed, making it an ideal location for accessible access to the upper floors. The courtyard currently has no tenants, so the work would not displace anyone. Unlike the main building, which has a basement partially below grade, the courtyard only has a crawl space beneath it, meaning the elevator pit will not disrupt any occupied areas of the building. The new elevator shaft will cause structural reconfiguration of the courtyard roof framing and the first floor framing. However, the reconfigured framing can utilize the new elevator shaft for structural support, helping relieve the loading on the academy building. This project also provides the Historic Trust with an opportunity to reevaluate the use of the courtyard space, potentially redefining it as an interpretive center or public gathering space. The design of the elevator shaft must account for the limited access to this area. There is little opportunity to reach the upper portions of the proposed shaft with lifts or cranes, so any exterior repairs will need to be performed from ladders set on the courtyard roof. The structure must also be independent of the academy building, ensuring that no loads from the new shaft transfer to the existing building during seismic or high wind events. Materials used should be robust, durable, and require minimal maintenance. The design should complement the existing building without being distracting. while avoiding the creation of a false sense of history by mimicking the original historic structure. In 2017, the framing, connections, and foundations for the south balconies were assessed and determined to be deteriorated, and the balconies were repaired. In 2020, a structural assessment of the north balconies yielded similar results, and a repair project for the balconies was undertaken. At the time of the 2020 renovation project, access to the balconies above the courtyard was challenging, causing the repairs to those balconies to become cost prohibitive. Due to those challenges, the repairs to the courtyard balconies were deferred to a later date, and those balconies closed off to access. The current proposal provides an ideal opportunity to complete that project, addressing the last remaining set of decks. The north gallery porches include 2 porches accessed from the 2nd and 3rd floors and located over the top of the courtyard. Since the courtyard balconies will provide elevator access, the balcony floor framing, the columns, the connections to the building, and the foundations will need to be strengthened, but the overall design will be like for like to minimize visual alterations. The scope of work for the porches, the scope of work for the porch repairs is similar to the previous projects. This includes improving the structural connections between the posts and decks, as well as between the decks and the building. Damaged materials will be replaced with an emphasis on salvaging as much material as possible. Note that the 2nd floor porch drains directly onto the courtyard roof. Replacing the membrane roof over the courtyard and improving drainage is also part of the project scope. And that completes our presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was very helpful. So I will begin by asking if there are any questions for the applicant. Again, I'm going to start with people online. If you do have questions, just please raise your hand so I can see it and I will call on you. Jan.
It would be helpful to have seen what the metal panel siding is going to look like. Because I can't get a sense of that from any of the drawings. So the elevator is going to be, the shaft is not going to be brick, it's going to be sided with metal, correct?
Yes, the current plan is for a concrete masonry block shaft that is then sided with metal panels as the weather element.
Is there an example of that maybe somewhere in downtown that we could look at? I mean, how reflective is this going to be? Is it just going to be one sheet of metal? It's going to be metal panels that are soldered together. I mean, I just can't wrap my brain around what this is going to look like.
Yes, there are several buildings that do the Al Angelo Phase 2 building, where the FedEx is the recent one that I worked on that has metal panels on the C Street side of the building. But
okay.
I guess to answer your question, it's not going to be one continuous sheet that just wraps around. They are individual panels that are clipped together. And it's sort of a matte finish. It's not shiny.
Okay. It just would have been helpful to see an example of what that looks like, because we do try to get applicants to show us what the materials are going to look like.
Yeah, and to dovetail on Jan's question, mine was about the materials also. You know, I don't feel that aluminum sheet metal is going to complement the historic building. I don't think it's gonna make it seem. I just don't envision that. I went and did a bunch of research on historic buildings and how they add elevators to them, and I could not find one historic building, you know, that had a basically sheet metal on the side of it. You know, I saw a lot that were really, really nice. I saw really beautiful ones that were glass, you know, where you could actually see the brick building through the elevator. But this is going to block part of the building. And it just seems that this is a perfect opportunity. It's a great project. It's a perfect opportunity since we're all about showcasing the building. We got rid of the trees because I'm going to showcase the building. Even if it's the backside of the building, it's only visible to all those tenants in all those new buildings. It just seems like if we really want to, highlight the building, we might think about using a different material than, metal. It makes it look industrial and trendy, not historic, not seamless. That's just my professional opinion.
My question is, very similar to Jan and Morgan is, have you thought about, brick or glass or some other material? Because it also seems to me like metal would really look out of place on this building.
Yes, we looked at quite a few different materials for it. As noted, the main challenge is ongoing maintenance, just because of lack of access to that location. So, brick has to be sealed and repointed from time to time. Glass has.
Well, we're going to have to maintain the elevator, one way or the other. We have to do some maintenance on our buildings that we put up. I don't feel like maintenance should be a major factor on the decision of materials. We're talking about the historic integrity of the academy.
Is this
Yeah, I think I can, this is Holly Chamberlain from the Historic Trust. I think I can address a couple of these questions. One thing to keep in mind is that this is actually going to be practically unseeable. You will not see it when you're walking at the ground level from the academy. It is not visible from any angle except the very narrow slide. Perhaps we could return to that slide.
It seems
Yeah,
visible to
so
me.
go up one more.
That's
So if you
visible.
look at that upper one, you can just see it shaded in there.
Yeah, that's visible. Collie,
And
that's
so
visible.
it's not going to be very visible at all. That was part of our intent with selecting this location. We don't know exactly what the exterior material will be because we don't know for certain what will be available on the market when we purchase the materials. But as Ryan pointed out, it will be a matte finish and it will be in a subdued color. So it will blend in with the building.
Yeah, but you won't be able to see the building right there anymore. I mean, I can see exactly what you're saying. I totally agree. I think it's a great location, but I totally disagree with that material type. You're going to block the view of that portion of the porch with metal against brick and wood. And that is not going to enhance or do anything for the historic integrity or character of this building. I know we want it to not look the same. I'm totally fine with that. But this looks shoddy. Metal looks shoddy. I'm currently in the Midwest, and you know what they're cleaning up everywhere? Aluminum siding. Because it's not really, it's a cheap material that you can put up, but it doesn't look nice. It doesn't enhance anything. It seems like if you're going to take this opportunity to put something on the building, we want to enhance the building and enhance it so that we can actually see that and not just put aluminum siding on it just because it's available and it's less expensive and it takes less to maintain until you get a tornado. But I just don't think those are like the best reasonings to choose that material type, in my professional opinion. We're just advisory, and of course you're going to do what you'd want to do, but I think that definitely goes against the brief 14 in a lot of ways. And I have a really hard time with the material type, not the project, not the addition, not the redoing of the porches, but this material is just, it's cheap. It's just cheap. And I think that we could really enhance the academy, especially if we're going for grants to help in enhance this. I mean, we could read the brief and what it says about how, you want these additions to be harmonious. And I think you're thinking that maybe making it a matte color will make it harmonious, but it's just going to make an eyesore. And though only a few people are going to see it, it's still part of the historic building. It's still part of the historic character. And it was going to be there pretty much forever. So that's just Commissioner Frazier's professional opinion.
Can I ask a question about this image as well? It looks like there's a peak. Is that going to be the shape of it?
Yes.
Okay, so will it go above the roof line, like the way the image shows here?
No,
Okay.
it's going to be below. I think that's just because of how that
The way the perspective is.
Yeah, this is a better image to look at it from because you can see how the actual roof line for the main part of the building is higher behind that.
Oh, I see. Where the cupolas are above that on the roof line.
Yeah, those are dormer windows up
Dormer,
there.
okay.
And so it's a little hard to see where the roof line is, but it's much higher there than the peak of the proposed elevator.
Okay. And I had just another kind of technical question. Can you go about just that slide just above where we just were? So is it cutting into this, I see that I can see that there's that courtyard there and it's going into the courtyard and then it is going to go through some of the roof line structure and then it'll be outside the building and move up through.
That's correct.
Okay. One thing I would just mention is I do, there is the brief for the National Park Service that is available to adding elevators and adding any kind of ADA compatible structures to a historic building. And that's brief 32. And in many ways, it mirrors what Morgan was saying, which is to, really take into account the size, scale, proportion, and the materials. And I think that the proposal is an excellent one. I'm really happy to see that you guys are being ADA sensitive and that you're trying to improve the elevator, that you went to DAP, that you got their assessment, that they provided that really helpful information in terms of the history of the current elevator and why it's important to. So all of that I think is very sound. I do think that oftentimes there's this misunderstanding that in order to not give a false representation of history means that we don't try to match some of the history. And so I do think that it would be worth, I know again, we're advisory, but I would personally advise they do consider some other material that could better match the academy if possible. I know it sounds like you guys have done some due diligence. You have gone to the drawing board and you've looked at a lot of different things, but as a commissioner's purview is that we really want to keep the academy looking like the academy. And while we need, clearly this elevator is an amenity that's needed, it will be a permanent feature of the academy moving forward. So I would personally also strongly encourage you to reconsider the materials like Morgan and I think also Heidi mentioned. Glass is a really great option because it's clear, right? You just see right through. And then also the people can see, as they're rising up the levels, they can also see out and see the structure in the building. Not to say, I can't obviously say what material to use, but just to say it may be worth the investment now for the long run. If that is something that you can do. One other thing that the brief mentioned is to minimizing the connection points, because then in the future, we always try to be able to remove any kind of structure that's added to a historic building. And so it sounds like you've also considered that. And from the bit that you told us, that it sounded like it was something that, because it's going to be on the exterior, it is something that's not going to impact the integrity and the way, how you put it, like it's not going to degrade the structure. Is that right? Am I interpreting that correctly?
Yes, the shaft will be completely freestanding.
Right. Okay. Excellent.
Have any connection points to the existing
Oh,
building.
okay. Great.
And because the porches will serve as the elevator landings, they will be strengthened so they can actually go into use again, which has not been possible for a very long time.
And for that project, I'm happy to see that you're at that point where you can finish up those pieces. Just happy to see that part. So that's all I had to add, which is just an encouragement of, we're advisory and our advice would be reconsider the materials. At least my advice would be reconsider the materials. But obviously we have to deliberate, but that would be my comment. Apologies. Anybody else want to comment before we close up our question portion for the applicant?
Yeah, I just have a quick comment. Well, two comments really. First, I would like to thank you for doing all the repairs. It is great to see, sorry, one sec. To see maintenance being done to preserve our local buildings and our history. Providence is so important to us, and we've seen other buildings that go into disrepair. So seeing the repair on these porches, I'm very excited about. As we are talking about the elevator, all of my fellow commissioners and my chair have made great points. One point that I was thinking of with the elevator, which also leans in the glass direction, is as this is an ADA elevator, making it a part of the experience for visitors who are able to come, having it glass, if you're in a wheelchair or something, would be able to get them up to see and experience all those steps as they're rising up to the next floors. So having that be a beautiful part of the experience would be something really great in my mind. But thank you guys for bringing this forward. I'm really excited to see all of the improvements going on.
Are there any other questions before we close this section of questions for the applicant and then we begin our discussions? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. Okay, now as a commission, are there any discussions for us on this item?
I will say that since our role in this is advisory, it would have felt better to have this come to us before they took the entire application to DAP, who is the regulatory authority on this, so that it felt like our input, might inform the application to DAP. Instead, we're doing an advisory review when they've already gotten approval from the regulatory agency. So that feels a little backwards to me.
Answer that question if you would.
Holly will address that. Just one moment.
Yes, well, the timing of the project had to do with, to some degree, with the funding. We had to go through the DAP review for a legislative appropriation granted this past spring that would help pay for the planning for the project. So we had nothing really in the way of plans to show until now, because that appropriation was to develop the plans. And that's a requirement because of the executive orders at the state level that you go through the DAP review.
You all have heard me, what my thoughts were. Anybody else interested in discussing any other additional points?
I did have one quick question that I forgot to pose. Is that all right if I pose it now? Excellent. I haven't been in the academy for a little bit, and I know that we added the ADA ramp for accessibility. Does that lead straight to this location site, or will they traverse down a hallway or anything to get from the ramp to the elevator?
We actually have two ramps, one at the northwest side and one on the east side. The one at the northwest corner is directly outside the building where the entrance to the elevator will be. So people will be able to use whatever mobility assistance device they need to get up the ramp, enter the building, and the elevator entrance will be, I think like 12 or so feet away, straight ahead.
Awesome. That's what I was thinking. I just wanted to double check the ramps in my brain.
Yeah, it is a bit of a trek from the ramp at the east end of the building, but it's just one long straight hallway. So it's a little bit farther, but also very doable.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Holly.
All right, if there isn't any other further discussion, then I would like to take a motion on this advisory request.
What kind of motion would that be?
Well, we would usually mention that while we would recommend and we would advise on XYZ.
So I think what we're moving is that we support this project, but that we would like them to go back and relook at the material that they're using. Location's great, design looks good, but we would like them to reconsider or relook at the material they're proposing.
That's exactly the type of motion. So Jan, are you moving to make that motion?
Sure, I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
This is Commissioner Frazier. I'll second that.
We'll take a roll call vote on this motion. Bart, will you please take the roll call?
Happy to. So just to clarify what I was jotting down, so everybody knows what they're voting on. This would be to support the project in general, but with the recommendation to request that the applicant go back and review the materials again for
Maybe
compatibility. Would that be the word that we're looking for?
Reconsider the materials for compatibility.
Reconsider the materials for compatibility.
Well, more specifically, reconsider the use of aluminum siding.
Yeah.
Yes. Could we add a line about reconsider use of aluminum siding with preference towards glass? Is that something we can advise?
Oh, I don't want to make that motion.
I didn't think so. I would just know the word glass was mentioned many times.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll restate what the motion is that Jan is putting forward. The motion is to there's no approval, right? There's just, we appreciate this proposal. We agree with all of the stated design and location, but we are requesting that they please reconsider the siding and use a material that's more compatible with the academy.
Yes.
Okay, that's the motion that Jan put forward, and I believe that Elaine, you seconded it.
Morgan seconded.
Morgan seconded it. Okay, thank you. Now we're doing a roll call motion.
So Jan Bader,
Aye.
Morgan Frazier,
Aye.
Andy Gregg,
Aye.
Heidi Mandler Huff,
Aye.
John Zingali,
Aye.
Elaine Thatcher,
Aye.
and Julie Bond.
Aye, and the motion passes. Thank you very much for your application, for your time. We will now recess the regular meeting for 30 minutes to hold an executive session with possible related action after, pursuant to RCW 42.30.1101I. We will reconvene at 7:45. This meeting is now in recess. We will now reconvene the meeting and we will begin with new business. Bart will provide a draft recommendation on historic applications.
Sure. All right, let me find that. A lot of attachments tonight. Okay, so the review committee for the historical promotion grants was able to meet, and that meeting was on November 25th. The subcommittee is composed of Andy, Morgan, and Heidi, with myself as the staff advisor. All the review committee have been provided with the full applications that we had received. At the end of the day, there were 7 of them total, and it was deemed that 2 of the applications did not meet all the criteria. One of the applications was the one from North County Historical Museum. They were requesting for costs that had already been incurred. So that is not what you can do with these grants. And then the Weber Arboretum for the Stanger House folks, they submitted one grant, which is being recommended for funding, but then another grant application for for a full HVAC system with no pre-permitting done and a variety of issues. So that was deemed to not be able to be funded at this time. So the other applications are summarized on this draft staff report. This is the format that we always give to County Council once this commission has made the recommendations. So I won't read it back to you, but you can see that we have 5 of them. We have the museum with their continued archiving. We have a transportation costs for a historically themed field trip with Columbia Dance. We have working on the self-guided audio tour and digital app for the trust. They had lots of documentation for that one. The Stanger House one that was deemed to be recommended for funding was the window and door, the old door replacement with recreation windows, which is what we're in the process of reviewing with the city planners now. So that seemed appropriate to the commission. And then the last one was a modest request from the Kamaswashugal Historical Society for the Two Rivers Museum digital archiving cloud storage. So overall, we ended up coming in at $44,004.67, which is under the maximum. And so it keeps the fund healthy. And so that is the quick summary, and I'm happy to answer any questions, and or if Morgan or Heidi or Andy want to chime in about anything before we vote on this recommendation. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
I'm just curious. Oh, this is John. What is like the budget that we have?
It varies slightly year to year, but the goal is 50,000.
Okay.
And we can push to 55 or a little over, but then we have to rein it back and account for that. So as of
Got
now,
it. I don't know, for some reason I had in my head that it was just 10 or 15, but this, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like looking at the numbers, I'm like, that doesn't.
No, yeah, it's
Okay.
it's funded from the surcharge on recording fees, and so it how much goes in varies year to year. So our finance department keeps it healthy.
In theory, we've got 50, and they're looking for a total of 44 to be funded.
Yeah, with these decisions, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I would just say thanks to the subcommittee for this review. I'm really excited. We had 7 applications. One thing I would ask that we do this year is impress upon these applicants that we want to report once they complete these projects, because we do want to begin housing those, and we want to have them as reference points for people to see where this grant money has gone and how the grant money has been fulfilled. I know that I believe has been a requirement that they do report out, but I don't know if we've been very firm on that. And I would just ask that we really start setting a standard that we expect a report of some type on how the projects went and how the money was used.
Beyond the financial reimbursement reporting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some kind of narrative explaining what they've done.
Okay.
We have a
I
section
think
on our site.
that we can definitely push for that.
I mean, maybe you can tie it back to the application form itself and the kinds of questions we asked we ask on the application form,
Yeah.
but it would, so that they have a template to work from for the final report rather than everybody just making up their own
That's a good point.
feedback form.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It would
That's a
just,
good
I
idea.
think it just would be helpful, and it doesn't have to be long. And if there's like materials that are created, it would be great to have a sample of the material. Just so that we can put those on our website so people can see what kind of things are being funded. It's always helpful when you're writing grants to be able to look at and see what the organization has funded in the past.
I like that idea about having it on the website too. Like, you know, even for the museum, we could have you know, something on there for their ongoing, you know, digitization. You know, their fantastic project that goes on and on.
Yeah.
Yeah, the website's a great idea to be a repository for that, and that
Yeah.
way it wouldn't get buried in our file folders.
Yeah, and we have a place set aside.
Yes.
Jan, Susan, and I are working on. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Is there a motion to approve the 2025 historical promotion grants recommendations?
So moved, Jan.
Thank you, Jan. Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion. This is Elaine.
Thanks, Elaine. And all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Thank you. The motion passes.
Great. We'll
Thank
get
you.
that to council as soon as possible.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to old business. First, Susan will provide a brief budget update and conference attendance update, which will tie into our surplus funding for 2024.
Now we can see the whole room.
I found the setting for you, Jan.
We just got to be able to hear Susan.
She's
Sorry.
working on.
It's not talking yet.
She's working on.
Not talking yet.
Okay, I'm sorry. Today's been a rough day, as you can tell by some of the technology things that have been happening. I was so focused on showing you all the outreach materials, which I have totally prepped. I didn't have the budget update prepped. Can I come back to that? Okay, I would like to.
I think ultimately it's just to inform us of how much money we have left. So I think that's the most important piece.
Okay.
It looks like $6,577.
Okay, so this is a list of the planned outreach material purchases. We have sent this to the subcommittee and we've gotten buy-off from them, but I thought I'd go through these items really quickly. We've talked about the canopy and I'm going to show you a picture here in just a second, with a back wall that would have the Historic Preservation Commission logo and tight fit table covers. I'm going to scroll down really quick. This is an idea of what the canopy and the back wall would look like. And here is what the table cover looks like. And we would need a table to go with that. So we've got the table listed and a retractable banner. The retractable banner, this is a poster. I'm not sure exactly what it was used for in the past. It looks like it was used for something to encourage people from Portland to come to Clark County because it's all about how far over the bridge it is. I found it and thought it would be a pretty good poster to use to sit next to the table. And it just has pictures of 9 different historic resources in the county. and would just be I think a good thing to get people, brought into the table, and you could talk to them, and then we could have more resources sitting out on the table.
Did you want to show it yet or?
Oh, it's showing on my screen. I'm sorry.
That's why you got Bart helping you.
No, we're helping each other tonight.
You need friends. Technology can be challenging.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, sorry, I was staring right at it. Okay, so you can see we want to have some edits. And the edits are mostly related to that message that it was for Portlanders coming over the bridge. It's all about how far you have to go over the bridge. But it shows, like I said, 9 historic properties. The one that we were thinking about changing is the Farrell Building is listed. All the rest of the pictures and resources are things that you might be able to go into, spend a little time at. And the Farrell Building is just a store right now, so it would just be a drive-by. We were thinking about changing this out for the Academy. But so it'll be in a little bit different format. It'll be taller and skinnier, but we thought this was a great place to start, and it was already created. We have all the photos. So we're going to modify this. So I will go back to the spreadsheet. So other things that we discussed to go along with all of those materials, a rolling cart to carry everything. I don't know if we also wanted to be, we'll figure this out, but a rolling ice chest or a regular ice chest. Where we would like some input. Obviously, if you have input on anything, please let us know. But the outreach materials, we have budget, and I'm going to show you, we still have some dollars left. It would be nice to give have some sort of giveaway. It would be great if we could think of something that might be related to historic preservation, but I've been thinking for a while and I haven't come up with any great ideas.
And just that term giveaway was what the graphics company was kind of throwing out. And it took me a minute. That's just the tchotchkes at the table, like you see at conferences. So anything.
Yeah. I mean, those are things. Yeah.
Anything you can think of that is small can have our logo and website printed on it. So
like bookmarks.
Bookmarks, magnets.
That's easy. Yeah.
Small little magnets for the
So if you
fridge.
guys have any ideas, let us know because they can get pretty much anything.
Do you want us to just email you or talk about them right now?
Talk about it right now.
Stickers.
Because
Yeah, and car magnets.
Catalog.
Refrigerator
extras.
magnets.
Okay. Stickers, magnets,
Magnets,
Car magnets.
bookmarks,
Yeah, put on your
keychains.
car.
keychains.
Yeah,
Got it.
keychains.
So a lot of cars now, like I can't put anything magnet. My car doesn't. Nothing magnetic sticks on the car. So window
Well,
clean.
I guess a vinyl sticker then, the
Window
vinyl
cling.
Vinyl stickers are nice, right? People like
Okay.
put them on their bumpers.
Mhm.
And you can put them on anything. You can put it on your laptop. You can
Yeah.
put it on
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
After our last meeting, when I was driving home, I was thinking we need a catchy slogan.
I'll work on it.
Well, so one thought I had, and I looked, so the National Trust for Historic Preservation uses This Place Matters.
Right.
And I looked and they let other organizations use that as long as it's used appropriately. And so that's a thought, is to use This Place Matters
What about our place matters?
or something like that.
Yeah.
Ours does take ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just a thought, because otherwise,
no, I like it, Jan.
a magnet
I love
that
that,
says
Jan.
Clark County Historic Preservation Commission.
Right.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it too.
I just like if we say this, then it's kind of like, well, where is that? But I think just changing it to like ours, it's like it brings it home a little bit more. But I like it.
that, John.
I also liked a sense of place.
Let's see. You also have coffee cups or like tumblers, like to be.
Yeah, you could think about something a little bit.
I'm
that's
just
a little
throwing
bit
some ideas
bigger,
out.
bigger like
Tumblers are
that.
nice.
For like a
Pardon?
give, like if you're doing like a real giveaway, like you're doing, something at the museum and you're giving, something away.
Like this, but with
Yeah,
our logo.
like a tumbler like that. Yeah.
Like how old's the Kiggins Theater? Who knows? Like
I
I'm
do,
always
I do.
going to Science on Tap. I got all the glasses, man. All the pint glasses. That's what you need. We need pint glasses.
So
That's a good one. Wine glasses.
we're pretty
Pint
firmed
glasses,
up.
and you can take it to
Oh,
Kiggins,
sorry.
right? And you can do your history on tap.
Glasses and you engrave it with each of the places on them. You have to collect them all.
That
Oh
is
my
cool,
gosh,
Heidi.
I
I
love
love
that. Like, back like when we get Happy Meals.
That is a really cool thing. Yeah. Another thought we had talked about before was having some kind of literature, like having a printing budget. I know we have to have things printed by the end of the year to use the budget, but I think somebody had mentioned, so sorry if I'm giving credit to someone, I think it was Andy, who said maybe we could provide materials for storefronts, right? Was that something you had mentioned? Yeah. I don't know if that would be part of this budget or not, but that was something we had talked about too. Or maybe poster. So then it's just a permanent thing, not just a piece of paper, but like some kind of what you've done recently and have a poster of that.
A little placard of, I am a historic building and this is information on other historic buildings.
It's too bad we couldn't use the money to, so I don't know if we made the announcement. You did, so they did look into giving some of this money to our partners. And, we talked about that last time, was finding out if people had specific projects, but we found out that that's not something we can do. This may be too late, but, there's that plaque program that the plaques are quite pricey, right? They're $500, I think, per plaque, something to that effect. And that is a program that the museum is doing. I don't know if we could specifically pay for some plaques with this money. Maybe it's too late to find that out, but that would be nice because I think there are some that are kind of pending or waiting for plaques. One thought.
We can check on that. I would think it would kind of fall in the same thing as grants without a review process, kind of gifting in a non-open way.
Yeah.
But we'll double check on that. I think back to what we were talking about a minute ago with some additional printed materials. If we like the poster,
How about little pins, like people can wear on their lapels?
Can have pins, sure.
Pinbacks, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cufflinks. Although I don't know if that really.
Now that we have a slogan, we can go wild.
That's historic. Cufflinks, yes.
Yeah.
Might need to hire somebody to design this, though.
They have a designer that's helping us. So
Okay.
we have our county graphics person is very slammed, but we have our graphic quality logo and fonts and the county themed colors and all that good stuff. So we're well on the way with the
Earrings with the round logo of historic. I don't know. I'm sorry, just throwing things out there.
I do like the idea of having some trifold flyers that we can hand out at things. Maybe if we don't need to print like a year's worth right now, but we could do a batch printing of some trifolds to take to events.
Mm-hmm. Or to have at the museum for when
have
people
a
come
print
there.
shop here.
My concern about the trifolds, because I was also thinking about
Yeah.
what's going to be on the table. Do we have any content that we can print at this point?
I think there's some content on the website, like who is historic preservation? What do we do? Maybe a little thing on, you can get tax benefits. Have a little background of, here's some historic buildings you might know, things like that.
I think the why preserve piece Julie did, if we could get it down to 2 pages instead of 3.
Mm-hmm. Who we are, why preserve.
Right.
Yeah. And we're just finishing updating an old resource on researching historic properties that might be, good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So does that help with the surplus budget?
It does. So we will work on, I guess, I don't know why I was thinking more of just one item, but we'll work on, I mean, so let me show you the budget. I did have it ready. I just didn't have it open. Okay. So there is a total of $6,577 left. And that includes all of the expenses for Pass Forward and other conferences. So, and if I go back to this spreadsheet, we've still got 20, based on, these costs might vary a little bit, but we have a plan right now to spend around $4,000, and that would still give us about $2,500. We had talked about, or what we sent out to the subcommittee was $750 worth of outreach materials. So we could increase that number, especially if we're getting lots of different things.
And what about if we thought about, this is a little out of the box, but like when, and Jan, recuse yourself. When we go to like the gala and stuff like that, and they put together baskets, and maybe we could, get some items that we could maybe donate when those kind of functions come around. And maybe those could be kind of more historically focused items. I'm not sure what those would be because it's 10:30 now. But
So Morgan wants us to add baskets to the list. Big baskets.
I really like
items to put in the basket to donate for fundraisers for historic things like I know the Pomeroy Farms does one. I know that the Amboy Museum, the ones that never can get the grant because they're always trying to do it retroactively, they do those kind of events. And maybe as a commission, we could donate a basket of items, for their fundraiser. And then that would also be a promotion thing because we are donating it as, one of their, or one of like the organization or whatever you want to say.
And so the content of a basket would be like things locally or
Yeah.
historic.
Yeah, I would definitely do it locally, like local books.
Local, but yeah, there's
do a local book.
lots of different businesses.
You could just, you could go crazy, but yeah, definitely do it local, Clark County, very, specific. But that was just, around, I'm like just looking at it going, okay, how can we spend $2,500 and,
Would we be able to do you guys foresee us being able to do that? Because I think that's a fabulous idea. And then have them on hand, right? So when those events happen, we can then put it together.
Exactly. And then we could even go to some of those events with the basket. I know John was saying about being more of a presence at some of these events, right? This is a great way for one of the commissioners to go to these events and, and also to, donate and participate and all of those great things.
Yep. I'd like the idea.
What does the outreach committee think?
All sounds good to me.
You guys are more awake.
I debate that. By the way, it's only quarter after. But we are almost done, I hope. I think we're getting close.
So the only concern.
Can I bring up something? This
Please.
is Chris Cook. And my counterpart with the city and I have exchanged a couple emails here to the effect that if you are going to put one of the really superb slogans that you all discussed on some of this swag, you need to check that it doesn't interfere with somebody's trademark. Now, fortunately, my excellent city counterpart has experience in the intellectual property field And so she would be able to probably check some of that out for you.
If she can't, I know how to do it also. It's an easy search.
Yeah. And it sounds like the one that you talked about was the folks who had come up with it had said, go ahead, everybody, y'all use it. So hopefully that would be fine. So that's all I needed
awesome.
to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we will get started looking for the keychains, magnets, window clings, stickers, tumblers, coffee cups. The poster for the businesses, would members take those to businesses and ask them if they wanted to put them in the window or, I mean,
Yeah, it's a good question.
we don't like, what kind of message do you want on it? What do we want it to look like? How many would we get printed?
I think we're out of time for something like that.
I was about to say, if we wanted to email the committee, the subcommittee about that and see if we could come up with like a quick response, but I'm not sure if we'll have enough time this year to do that.
Okay,
So I would say if the outreach committee is able to meet and can answer that, great. If not, then we'll
It's a
skip
good
that.
goal for next year.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm also, and I'm not trying to be difficult, I think I understand the basket idea, but would love ideas of what would go in it. I mean, local books, this is also going to be right, but again, we have 30 days, not really, and yeah, because right.
Next year.
It's not just going out and buying things.
Yeah.
City staff has to purchase these things. It starts to get complicated pretty quickly.
Yeah,
What if we
that's
purchase
what,
the baskets and leave the putting in it for, unless it's local books, like leaving the what we put in it for a next year budget item?
okay, well, with your guidance on the smaller items, that we just got a bunch of good ideas. Now we can get some better price estimates, and that might eat up the rest of this pretty well. I think the basket idea is a good idea if we pre-bought the items and didn't allocate it for a particular organization. Then when you said, oh, there's an event, are we
Right.
going to approve a basket for this event? And that would be in a public hearing thing, public hearing environment again.
Yeah.
So we can figure out the logistics of that for next season. I think it's a great idea. I bet we'll take care of the extra with the giveaways and small items pretty quickly.
And you know, and if we do baskets, those are the kind of things we'll put in the basket anyways, right? Because we'll put a little swag in a basket anyway.
Some of them, yeah, sure.
Right, because they want to know who they got it from. We want them to go home and be like, oh, look at these kind people.
Can I make a little suggestion about the little things? When I first started my business, I was doing tabling and had little things to give away like that. And there are people at every event where they'll just like sweep your table off and just take it all. So maybe like having people give their email address to sign up for updates or something in exchange for it helps them not all disappear really fast to people who aren't even going to do anything with them.
I know for ours, we have a big basket of really cheap stickers that we put in front that everyone can grab, and then everything else is back.
Yeah.
Good
Okay.
input.
One last thing. So we've talked about this several times, but there's never been a formal vote. I think it might be if we're spending, I would suggest some sort of vote on spending up to maybe $6,500 on outreach materials. So just a suggestion.
Yes.
So to vote, so let's tidy up the budget and how we're going to allocate it. So the proposal is that we spend the remaining surplus budget of 6,500 on outreach materials. So let's conduct a vote on that, a voice vote. So all those in favor in spending our remaining budget on outreach materials, say aye.
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 It sounds like no opposed, so it passes and you're free to use it. Thank you very much. Anything else on that before we move to the third item?
No, the kit will live in our department, and then we'll choose events and check it out to people, and it'll be good when the sun comes out.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
That reminds me of a song.
Right, next we'll discuss the listings cleanup and file update project. Last time we had said that, I don't know if Morgan will still be up for it because she is not physically here anymore, but Elaine and I are still on board. So want to keep that fresh. We're still just expecting to hear from you to coordinate us. Is that right?
Yes, and I think we're ready to get a first stage of that project to you. Susan and I have an idea of what would be a good. I mean, we don't need to go into the details now, but
Yeah.
something
And
that would
just
be a
let
good
us-
starting point.
Okay. Just
Yep.
we're here to set something up with you.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. All right, moving on to commission announcements and events. Are there any other announcements or event reminders for members? Jen, I think you had one regarding the design guidelines for the city. Do you remember?
Well, in the October meeting, Jason came and talked about the design guidelines, the downtown design guidelines that the city is updating. And because it was 40 some pages, we didn't want to review it in the meeting. But if you have a chance to look at the commission's website and look at the design guidelines and have any suggestions, please get them to Jason so that the historic preservation aspect of it can be well represented, because our name's on the design guidelines as a consulting party. So just a reminder.
Yeah, thank you. Really critical. I haven't seen those yet, so I will definitely go back and look them over. Okay. Anything else? All right. Next, we will hear any updates from subcommittees that we have not already discussed. Do we have anything from our demolition subcommittee? So I'm looking through here.
Not that I'm aware of. Bart and
Okay.
I met with the county, and they were very enthusiastic. And that circles around outreach. The county office said that they would love some materials inside of their office about tax credits inside their office, so they could, and why preserve, so that they could give that out to their applicants, and that they had room in their facility for handouts. I didn't know if they had room for a poster, but they might. Bart could check that out. But that would be a really good place to start putting some outreach material.
Thank you, Morgan. And Jason, before he left, said that he felt good with where things were with the city as far as the photo archiving and the new forms and things. And so that's great. And now we can move on to the phase with getting the county and building codes involved, which is a whole nother step.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Next, for the design review and webpage, I can go ahead and just say we have met recently. We met this week, actually. And I'm like, is that true? Everything's blending together. But we met on Monday, and things are moving along. We will have a draft of the COA application early next year. We are in the final stages of finishing a draft of that to share with you all to see the new changes that we're making. And then we have 3 other sections that I believe we have until we are finished. So things are moving along. Anything, we've heard a little bit from Outreach, but if there's anything further from Outreach, if they would like to comment.
I know, Andy, we talked about like doing something for the regional competition of History Day If we wanted to, I'll have more exact details, but right now, end of January, I believe Wednesday, 29th, we'll be doing our in-house event at iTech. So I don't know if we wanted to test run. So, if we have some of the materials, we could do something there. Obviously, I will be there doing everything, so we have to be careful about like how many people we have there and stuff like that. But it's a big open public event. We usually have around 300 people show up, so it's a big deal. It could be cool to see, have parents and stuff that live all across Vancouver and Battleground there. So just a thought.
John, that makes me think, could we do any sort of giveaway that might be geared towards kids?
I mean, at our regional thing, we always have the Clark County History Museum sponsors a prize. If we wanted to do something like have like a prize, and like if two of the other commissioners, I would have to recuse myself from it, wanted to like have a best in show or a couple other like for the kids like awards they would hand out, we could totally do something like that.
That'd be really cool.
So is that truly just like an award, or is it a cash prize, or?
Oh, but like the one that it's a membership to the museum for a year is what he does, Brad, every year. And it's usually tied to like a local history. So if we wanted it to be like, oh, who's got the best like local history? I mean, I've got a set of girls doing the Kaiser shipyards here in Vancouver, and like lots of other like local stuff. So open for interpretation, but you could just, if we had some stuff, they wouldn't need anything monetarily. It would just be some of the swag we're getting. That would happen, just so you know, too, like, if you were to make a decision that night, I could do it before everyone leaves.
Oh, and to add to the swag, water bottles, if we're talking kids.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you hold back, right, Morgan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. John, outside the meeting, get us more details about the event so that, because we should have delivery on the outreach items fairly quickly. So we can, like you said, use this as a trial run.
I'll have full details by the January 8th meeting for sure. The only thing that could possibly change that is if we get snowed out and I have to move it to like a week later or something like that.
Yeah.
But I could always pass that information along.
Sure. Sounds good.
And one question I had for the outreach group was, once we get these items, I know we had talked about having a space at the farmers market, the Vancouver farmers market. Is that something we would want to, because we have to apply, I don't know how it works for something like the commission, but I know if one of us were to be a vendor, we have to apply to have a space, and we have to pay a certain fee to have a space. Sure. So I don't know if that would be relevant for the commission, but has anyone looked into that so that we kind of know?
Yeah. So I can speak to this. We wouldn't be in the farmers market. If we're on the north end, we're in the free speech zone, and anyone can set up anything, right? So you're just outside of it, but it's just the free speech zone, and we're there educating people about what we do.
And I think that the farmers market has at least one or two booth spaces that they reserve for nonprofits.
Okay.
Great.
That they let use, but they don't let them. It's not like the same people every time,
Yeah.
But I think that they reserve a couple of the spots for things like the master gardeners, for instance.
Right.
But like if we just set up right in that northwestern corner, like as long as you're right there on the north sidewalk, anyone can set up anything anytime. It's the free speech zone. So
cool.
There you go.
Thank you. Excellent. All right, we are now at the good of the order, our last item on our agenda. Are there any comments for the good of the order?
I think this is the first time all 7 of us have been together for a while, even though we're virtual. So I just want to say it's great seeing everyone.
Yeah, it was a really timely time for us all to come together too. It was a heavy meeting.
Yeah.
Good work on the subcommittees too, everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I echo that. And thanks to the staff and to you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday break if you have a break and a happy new year.
Get some rest.
All right. If there are no other comments, then I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn this meeting from Andy.
Do we have a second?
Morgan Fraser seconds that. Just tired.
All right. We are now adjourned.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you all for
everybody.
being here.
I'll see you next
Thank you.
time.
Everyone, get
Bye.
some
Happy
rest, Morgan.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you to our attorneys.
Yes, thank
And
you,
thanks,
attorney.
Chris.
Thank you.
Yes. Thanks for returning.